Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Test Chamber. Today we are looking at Duelyst. I am here with Keith Lee, who is the co-founder of Counterplay Games, who will be walking us through the game today. Hi Keith.
Hey Dan, great to meet you. Thanks for taking the time.
So lay it down for me, Keith. What kind of game is this?
Duelyst is a tactical CCG, so we wanted to marry the depth of a top-down turn-based strategy game like Fire Emblem and Final Fantasy Tactics, but also combine that with the accessibility and the replayability of a CCG such as Hearthstone. So we wanted to also make the game very, very short in terms of session length. So it's basically a competitive turn-based strategy game with short 10-minute play sessions.
Okay. I guess we'll find out how it's different than other CCGs right now as we go into a game.
Great. Sounds good. You can feel free to challenge me, and then we'll hop right in.
Yeah, all right, let's do that. All right.
Versus Songhai.
All right, then. So this is, what I'm doing here is this is sort of mulliganing.
Yep. What's different about our game, first thing is that, well, there's a couple of things that are similar. So we kept the win conditions very, very simple. So all you have to do is defeat the opponent's general. And so their hit points starts at 25, and you just want to reduce it down to 0. We try to keep it very intuitive, so you don't have to worry too much about victory conditions, victory points, and all these other things.
So I have just summoned a...
You notice?
Yeah. I've just summoned this creature, so that's very, as many other CCGs, this game involves summoning creatures to fight for you.
So right away you'll know something that's different is that you can place your units unlike typical card sequence CCGs, and we put a lot of emphasis on movement, positioning, and placement of your units in the game.
Definitely. So as you can see, there's some combat going on here. So this is a very interesting art style you've got going for this game.
We were pretty happy with the overall sort of look and feel because we wanted to pay homage to people who love playing tactics games like Fire Emblem and Final Fantasy Tactics. And at the same time, we had the opportunity to meet Glauber Kotaki, who is the lead artist on Chasm and Rogue Legacy. And we felt like it was a good fit, and also because we were actually generating close to 300 different battle units. And so we wanted to make sure that we can keep making more battle units using sprites, and it would be a lot faster and more efficient for us.
So I remember the Kickstarter for this game. Was it, I don't know, is it going to be free to play now? I remember seeing something like that a couple of days ago, maybe?
Yes, it's going to be free to play. And the main reason why we're doing that is because we want to be able to work on Duelyst for a very long time, using gameplay and content for this for many years, because we want this to become a larger game and more competitive. So the twofold reasons is that it's not so much about a business model per se, but is the fact that a free-to-play game would allow us to have more people to play our game. And that means that the people who are just being able to play it now won't have to wait in the long multiplayer queue without having to buy the game. So that's one really important thing for us. And we also realize that we have so many updates and tech features and things that we want to do that would make it very difficult for us if we had a single purchase game. So that's really been kind of our thought process, is trying to figure out a model that would allow us to still continue to generate revenue after the sale of after the initial sale of the game.
So So sell me on it. Why would I play there's tons of digital CCGs coming out now. Like, this has become a big thing recently. What points would you say would attract me to this game over, say, Hearthstone, for instance?
So what separates us from other games as a tactics-based CCG is, first and foremost, there's a lot of turn-based strategy games like Fire Emblem, Final Fantasy Tactics, but they're only single player. So this is the first truly competitive tactics game where you can play in 5 to 10 sessions and also close out your game. So we're trying to solve two problems. In general, turn-based strategy games might take 45 minutes to several days to play, and oftentimes the winner will just snowball and most people would just stop playing. So we're trying to solve the issue of actually getting a victory condition, and then also secondly, reducing the time to 5 to 10 minutes. And what we do is just take all the action, all the fun parts of a tactics game and compressing it into 5 to 10 minutes. So you can still get your first sort of competitive fix with a positioning game. So it's deeper than a pure card sequence game. And I think that we're going to be focusing on people that are much more hardcore. So.
Sure. So do you have any kind of timeline that you can share with us as far as when people can start playing this? This is in, closed alpha right now?
Yes, this is in closed alpha. It's currently only available to Kickstarter backers, but we're going to be opening it up very soon to more people who are signing up on our website. And we plan to release the PC, Mac, and Linux desktop client this summer, 2015. And if things go well, then we'll expand it into multiple other platforms as well.
Sounds good. So do we have any kind of like dates, speculation on when that's going to happen?
We're going to be planning to release it in the summer of 2015 for that. Okay. And in terms of other platforms, if things go well, then hopefully we can also launch on mobile devices because we designed it to also work really well on those platforms in Q4 of this year.
Yeah, it definitely looks like something that would work great on iPad.
Yes, and we've been testing it and trying it out, but our primary focus will always still be PC, Mac, and Linux. We're pretty much a PC master race developer team, and
Absolutely.
So from our standpoint, we want the most people to be playing on the PC, on a desktop client, and we can do a lot more cool graphical post-processing than what we want to do. So even though you're seeing pixel art right now, you'll notice that we're doing a lot of things that are unique, such as bloom, and also different types of lighting effects, and also shadows, shadow casting and stuff. So they're not pure pixel art anymore. It's using a lot of 3D post-processing.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on here. So what do you have in mind for, like, tournaments or I guess accountable progression? Yeah, like I guess I'm asking, like, how does progression work? How does the competitive scene work, etc.?
In terms of the competitive scene right now, we have actually a sorry, one second. I'm trying to focus and concentrate.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I'd love to talk more about all the units and the stuff in the game. So I'd be really happy to go into detail because I know sometimes that might be hard to understand from just watching all these different units and things.
Yeah, it probably very much is. So after this, maybe we'll just take a look at the factions. If you could, we can go into the deck building and take a look at the factions after this.
So let me try to answer your question. In terms of community, we like to go really slow, and so our main focus right now is just getting our backer community to focus on tournaments and things like that. So there's a lot I can go into, but it's hard because there's sound effects coming off, and it's hard for me to tell you what's happening.
Sure.
And I wanted to spend some time to talk about some of the factions and all the cool different sort of units that we have and things like that.
Yeah, I think we should definitely do that. So as soon as we close this one out here. We'll
Yeah,
try to do that.
you're gonna pretty much wreck me right now. So hold on a sec.
Okay, so we will go into the factions here. You won't be able to see my screen, but we'll just do it faction by faction. So we've got what looks like 5 factions plus neutral cards, right?
That's correct. There's actually going to be 6 on release. So there's one faction that's currently not available called the Vanar. And each of these different factions have very unique positioning capabilities. So for example, the Leonar is much more focused on banding and the fact that there's synergies between different units being close to each other. So you'll start to see most Leonar players tend to cluster together. And so you could take advantage of AoE and different types of attacks to counter their clustering and things like that.
Yep.
Songhai also has they're more cloak and dagger. They can teleport some of their units, and they also have the ability to backstab. So they'll do 2x the amount of damage to your opponent's units. The Vitruvian like to do a lot of sapping-oriented stuff, and they also have Blast, which allows them to hit entire rows of fire to damage enemies. And so every one of these factions have a very unique theme. They have units that synergize with their look and feel. They're unique to each faction, but then of course you can round them out with a bunch of different neutral units as you assemble your deck. And so you can create a deck of 40 battle units, spells, and artifacts. And artifacts are equipment that you can essentially put onto your general to give them additional abilities or buffs. But of course, each of these different factions kind of have a lot of kind of different strategies. So happy to go dig into more detail.
Yeah, I mean, if you could just run down the quick strategy for each faction, I think that'd be nice. I'm hovering over the cards right now, taking a look at them.
Oh, great. In terms of the Leonar, they have a special ability called Zeal. So it gives them a bonus effect when you're near your general. So as mentioned before, they also tend to have high stat line stats and capabilities, and so that's sort of their overall theme and their premise is synergizing with each other and creating formations that are unique to their faction to defeat their opponents. The Songhai are much more cloak and dagger. They have a few ranged units. They also have some abilities in terms of spell mastery and spell efficiency. And of course, they're able to do really, really high burst damage. So they would almost be similar to like a rogue or a mage in terms of their damage power and their potential. The Vitruvian have a very unique set of units. One of them is called the Obelisk, and they're stationary. So their disadvantage is they can't move when you cast them, and so you can only place them on a particular tile. But what's cool about them is that they would actually spawn dervishes every turn that are temporary, and they're basically pumping out enemies. So sometimes you have to do a trade-off of if you should try to kill other units, or if you should attack the face of the general, or if you should remove or to take out some of these obelisks. They're much more focused on sapping, and of course there's also a really cool unit called the Pyromancer, and also the Starfire Scarab that the Vitruvian have, and they have a ability called Blast, which allows them to hit all enemies in a single straight line along a row. So these are the type of kind of mechanics that would be sort of impossible in a pure like card CCG, and these are the things that are differentiating us, because besides assembling your roster of units, you also have to really consider how you place your units, whether you want to take control of the center of the board, whether you want to turtle in a corner, whether you want to block people with your units. Because the big difference too in our game is that you can't walk through enemies on the tiles, but you can walk through friendly minions. So some people might protect their range units behind There are more high stat line units in the front. So those are new strategies that are introduced into the game that wouldn't be available in a standard card CCG. With the Abyssian faction, they're very focused on more like an undead sort of role, and they have a very unique capability called Death Watch. And so essentially certain abilities and powers will trigger if any minion or unit dies on the battlefield. And so you could start to see people creating swarming mechanics or aggro mechanics around this, because they could have very low cost units that allow them to trigger other sort of capabilities and buffs. And what's also unique about the Abyssian is they have a ability called Shadow Creep. And what Shadow Creep does is it will actually put in a sort of poisonous tile on the ground. And so any opponent's unit that lands on it will actually get damaged. So as a result, you can actually change the flow of battle, and you can actually do really interesting AoE damage to a cluster of Leonard units, for example. The Magmar faction is more of a monster faction, and their kind of whole theme is the ability to grow. So every turn, a lot of their units will actually incrementally get stronger and more powerful the longer they stay on the battlefield. And they have a lot of different interesting sort of units that can create eggs. And if you kill some of the battle units, an egg will form, and you have to destroy the egg on the next turn. Otherwise, it might potentially hatch the same unit, or it will tell you also what other units it might hatch. And so you have to then consider whether you should take out the egg this turn or to defer it and kind of choose your own battles. And then the neutrals are all shared by other factions, and each of these neutrals have a whole gamut of abilities that can help you round out your overall strategy. So every battle squad is going to be different based on sort of like your own personal play style. And that's kind of what excites us, is the fact that you can customize and personalize your own like battle squad.
Very cool. There's a lot to take in here. So how many cards are predicted for release here?
300 plus battle units, spells, and we will continue to push out monthly content, because the way that we've set up our seasonal tournaments and our ranked ladders is every month. But instead of just getting, for example, a card back or something that's just cosmetic, what we're actually doing is incentivizing people to play every month for these seasons, because you can earn custom cards and cool cards without getting a booster pack, just by playing the ranked ladders. And so those are experiments that we're doing that I think are very different from other CCGs, and also incentivizes you to want to continue to earn new battle units every month. But we'll still continue to do expansions for larger introduction of factions or a theme around a set of battle units or spells. But regardless, every month we'll be delivering new content. And also, I think the coolest part from our standpoint is not only can you get these cards, but it changes the entire strategy and the meta every single month, because new cards are coming in. So you'll never have this sort of static feeling of the optimal sort of player guides that get pumped out like every month or two.
Sure.
But people will discover new strategies every month.
Wery cool. So what's the free-to-play model like? Obviously, you'll be able to purchase booster packs, yeah?
You can buy booster packs, and we're here to keep it really simple. All we want to do is just to continue to make some revenue after the purchase of our initial product. And so we're just trying to keep things really simple. We're just only going to monetize through booster packs and only through cosmetic aesthetic items, such as alternate skins for your generals, or alternate sort of visual items or icons or portraits within the game. But basically, they'll be purely cosmetic. They won't impact the function or the competitive factor of the game. And our primary focus will be just booster packs that you can earn by earning gold through the game. And everything in our game can be unlocked by simply playing the game. So there's nothing that's walled or exclusive. Besides the Kickstarter exclusive items, pretty much everything else is available. And so it's just your choice whether you want to support us by buying some booster packs, or you can still play the game for free And that's great for us because more people playing it means that there's less people waiting in line on the queue.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much, Keith, for walking us through the game. It looks great, and I can't wait to play more.
Thanks so much, Dan. Thank you for your time.